Good morning. And here we are again. A little later this morning because we had a few technical issues, but a very full first hour with Andrew Sloan from Grizzly's Barbershop. Always good value for money, but also knows what's going on because he's chatting to people all over the place. So let's just get cracking with this, shall we? Well, good morning, and we have had picture problems the last few days, and I'm just looking now at our output. It is not great, but it is a little better than it has been, and hopefully by come Monday, well, not Monday because that's a holiday, but we shall soon have fixed that, and your picture will be picture perfect. So bear with us and stay with us, and hopefully we will get it right. We will get it right. This is Mirador Television. Small scale, but the biggest little television service in the world. And we broadcast all over the world. And I'm happy to say that we seem to have picked up quite a following. So we're able to express the views that emanate from our small town, Lewes in East Sussex in the United Kingdom, to people as far we joke and laugh, but yes, we have got actually a viewer in Patagonia in South America. So we do actually get around. And I hope that some of the things that we say or do mean something to you. It's not a great picture, but it's not a bad picture either. It's better than it has been, and we hopefully will improve that in the next day or two. And thank you for Kevin Kramer, particularly, who taps in and out and sends me a little note saying, Keith, your picture is just absolutely bloody awful. So he's but let's well, I think that we always need to be reminded of what this year is all about. Well, 75 magic years. And indeed, in many ways, they have been absolutely scintillating as far as we can see from the history record books. And looking at some of those pictures, is modern youth wouldn't believe they look old-fashioned. To us at the time, they were very modern. And I miss some of the things. I miss going onto a train platform and seeing a steam train chug in. Choo, 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 choo. It was sheer magic. Okay, modern trains get you there in less time. They're cleaner. They're safer. Yes, all in all, much improved service. But surely we could try hard and not lose the glamour of this service of trains. Even in the 1990s, when I first started to commute from here in Lewis to London, the morning service had a buffet car, and you could get a decent bacon sarnie. By golly, could you get a decent bacon sarnie? They made a great bacon sarnie, and a cup of coffee and a bacon sarnie, and all was well with the world. No criticism of the rail service at all. And in the evening, that same buffet would serve you a gin and tonic. And you would stand with your fellow passengers and not complain that there weren't enough seats. You didn't care. It was a nice, clubby atmosphere. Now, nobody talks to anybody on the train. Nobody bothers to strike up a conversation. It's my late wife, Valerie, being a broad Canadian. She could get into a train carriage with me for a half-hour journey, and she would know everything about everybody in that train carriage before the half hour was up. I would bury my nose in the paper. She was by far the more daring. I, the very conservative, with a little c. And the train journey was an adventure. And it was an adventure. And it is 60 or 70 years before that, when the Brighton Bell was in operation, it is reported with some authority that there was an old colonel who would get on every morning. He had baked beans on toast and a brandy. And God help you if you sat down in his seat. Now, those sort of things shouldn't just be stories of legend. They should be stories that are true of today as well. But the glamour of travel, and the airlines are the same. Steerage now is it gets you from point A to point B, and that's it. Forget it after that. And sometimes it is very uncomfortable going from point A to point B. Yes, you can pay a huge premium, and you can get free drinks, and you can get a bit more leg room. But even then, the glamour of flying has disappeared. The British Airways, and I see that actually the modern British Airways is now in the headlines again this morning because they're going to start to cut back on summer flights. Now, how on earth they are able to argue that is in the interest of the company, of the passenger, heaven only knows. Why do they exist if they're not going to fly? It's beyond the pale, as it were. It is beyond the pale. Now, it may be that your picture is because the strength of the signal has eased somewhat. There, it's back again. So it's fluctuating today. And I hope that perhaps enough to keep a half decent picture throughout the morning. But why on earth has airlines and trains and buses and coaches and actually ferries. Well, the ferries are half decent. Why on earth they have stopped the glamour of travel and then bitch and complain because they don't have enough people as passengers, and they argue for a cutback instead of the marketing theory should be, let's be bolder. Let's make, because actually the fares aren't cheaper. I went to Cambridge about a month ago on a direct train from Brighton to Cambridge. Very, very convenient. If I broke the journey, it would have been a 40-some-odd pound return. As it was a 45 pound one way. So I paid something like 120 pounds by the time I'd finished to get to and from Cambridge. And even then, one ticket collector quibbled about whether, in fact, it included an add-on from Brighton to Lewis. So those are the things which, in many ways, we miss in the developing world, as it were, the world that we are offering to our children and our children's children. Are we going to change? God only knows. I don't. I have to say that life is becoming something of a mystery. What will be next? What will indeed be next? It is anyway. The trains and the planes and the buses and so on, utilitarian, much more efficient, I would guess. But I wonder if what we should do is we should appreciate the country bus that rattles from village to village and not make it difficult for those people who live in villages. I mean, it's not just the bus companies, it's the banks as well. The banks are outrageous. I have never come across a sector that does what it feels like and has nobody to govern it. Oh, yeah, the banking acts and all the rest of it to keep out really mischievous people. But generally speaking, the government is so cap in hand with the bankers that they don't care how they treat their clients, if you want to call it that, whatever you call it. They don't really care how they do it. And that's sad. It's sad. Right. Okay. So that's the start at 7 minutes past 10 of our affairs from the heart, and let us tell you what we're all about during this period that we're on the air, because we are here from 10. Not now. Yes, from 10 until 11:30. And if you are passing the White Hart, pop in and plant your bottom on the chair next to mine and have a little chat. Let us hear what you think. Let us hear about any events that you have. Let us discuss with you your ideas and your thoughts, particularly if they are designed to make our society a better society. And we certainly need a great effort to make it a better society. We don't talk to each other anymore. We ignore a lot of community things. We have councils that their idea of getting next to their electorate is to move the center of operations to a foreign town, a foreign land, and then try to justify it when in fact the service is so lousy, so very, very lousy, that there is no justification, none whatsoever. The chief executive bolts his door and nobody can get near to him. So I don't think that he knows much about what's going on. I'm just checking to see whether we're getting a decent picture. Well, yes, we are. It's not bad anyway. So we hopefully have partly conquered the problem, and we will by next Tuesday, because that's after the holiday. Next Tuesday, we shall have it lit, and we'll be pushing ahead with a good, clear picture and some more innovations. We want to get a second camera going. We want to try and let you see what's going on outdoors, in the road. We need some help, and we shall ask for help, and hopefully people will give us a boost. All right, now we have to pace ourselves through the morning. We shall start to take a look behind the headlines, but I will go through the headlines in a moment. And after we visited my favorite park, and which we do almost like the Potter's Wheel. What's the Potter's Wheel, you may say? Well, in the early days of television, nobody quite understood that programs should be made to time. And so there were glaring gaps between the end of one program and the start of another. So they made a number of short movies, if you like, short features. And one was the Potter's Wheel. And the Potter's Wheel showed a piece of clay being formed into a jug or a vase or whatever, with a pair of hands. Interesting it was, but a filler it was also. And one of those fillers was London to Brighton in 4 minutes. It's a speeded up version of a camera in the front of the train. I used to love that, watching the train speed down the tracks towards Brighton. Right, well, we're hopefully dishing out a decent service this morning. Well, let's go to South Overgrange. Now, the paper that I had this morning in front of me is the Mail, the one would expect, because of its political bias, that it would be having a go at Labour, and indeed it is, with Keir Starmer having a pint of beer with some of his workers at the same time that Boris was enjoying his Christmas cake with icing. I personally think that we should be saying to our MPs, let's stop all this rubbish and get on with looking at what's going on in the world, because there's some pretty serious things going on. But we don't want to get too serious, and there are a number of things that we have to face, not one being the war. And now this one I must confess I find quite amusing, because it is female colleagues say they caught him not once but twice. And what was that all about? Well, that was about a Tory MP, a grandee, a senior Tory MP, has been caught looking at porn on his phone in the House of Commons. Right, okay. I mean, a lot of people believe that porn is addictive, first of all. So if somebody is watching porn at work, is they're not paying attention to their job. So if in fact an MP or MPs are watching porn in the House of Commons, they are not actually paying attention to their job. That would be the worst charge, in my view. But no, we've got to have it. It's anti-feminist. It's this, that, and the other. 1,000 different social things, which I'm sorry, pale into insignificance when we consider that Mr. Putin says that if we as much as offer a tank to defend any of the countries that he is targeting, is that he's going to slam one of his nuclear rockets at us. Now, it's almost 1939, 1938, 39, all over again. Peace in our time. And the appeasers are doing their best to, and let's face it, nobody wants a war. But you have to understand who you're dealing with. And this man is, first of all, he is not a loser. He hates losing. So he will go to the nth degree to show that he's winning. And he's entered into a war in Ukraine. And even though there seems to be a lot of reversals, that his ground troops have been taking a shellacking from Ukraine, that they're not making the sort of headway that he anticipated, is nonetheless, he does not accept that he is losing. And according to the US intelligence, what he's saying is, the West are, quote, fat and sassy, right? They can't do without a lot of their creature comforts. So if I take away their gas supply, their energy supply, then they'll soon give in. And there is a certain element of truth in that, because there are already people saying, yes, it's all very well to support Ukraine, but let's not get involved in a head-to-head. You either support or you don't under these circumstances. And it's one of those things that, well, let's see what comes of it. But I do think that we should pay more attention and not, the diplomats get it wrong. Like a lot of things to do with governments now, they actually live life in a bubble. They don't always see what the people on the ground have got. They don't always see. We are losing a signal again, and I hope that that's not reflecting in what you're getting on your screen. But this man is dangerous, and we really do have to worry a great deal about what he says or what he does or what he thinks. So let's beware. Let's beware. But anyway, the reason that I started on that is the MPs are at work, so watching porn is a naughty thing to do. Is watching porn naughty? Well, we still have that Victorian attitude towards porn. I mean, okay, it's like anything else. There are extremes, and we shouldn't be very happy about the extremes. But generally speaking, there's a lot of porn. It is extensively watched, and people don't get too excited about the fact that people watch it. What they do get excited about is if they get caught watching it. No, it's not me. It's not me. You know, and this MP has been caught. But instead of saying he's been caught doing something naughty and let's take him to task for it, it's no, we get anti-feminism and all sorts of isms which cloud the issue. Either you're going to tell this bloke to stop it, or you're going to say it's okay, carry on. But don't start using it to campaign for some of these isms. I am ism free. I really don't have any prejudice or biases. Yes, I do, because I was born in well, I was born well into the last century. And a lot of the attitudes that prevailed when I was 10, 15, 20 stick with me. But I don't deliberately set out to be anti-feminist, anti-color, anti-ethnic, anti-religious, anti-homophobic. I don't actually in any way reflect those things, not deliberately. So when people start on about, oh dear, this is naughty stuff, it is not deliberately naughty. But also, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, the wokes that pull down statues and so on, I really get very, very upset about that. It was reflecting the time. And there are an awful lot of things, not least of which is it was a slaver, a man who made his fortune from slaving, Mad Jack Fuller, who was MP for Lewis for a number of years. And he used that money to support a lifeboat in Eastbourne, to support the lighthouse in Eastbourne, the Davies lamp, the original safety lamp for miners, but above all, a man called Faraday. And Faraday was a scientist who dealt in sound waves and radio waves and invented something called Faraday's cage. And Faraday's cage was able to filter out certain elements of radio waves. That led to the be all and end all, if you like, the way that we watch television pictures. Now, are you going to pull down a statue to Mad Jack Fuller because he used his slavery money to get television? I bet the wokes don't do that, because to show what they're doing is they need television. And in fact, you would have thought that Mad Jack Fuller would have been a prime target, and nobody's had to go at him. And Mad Jack was some character. He really was some character. Well, where are we now? It is 10:22, and the time is slipping away this morning. And I'm glad that it is, because it just shows that this is one dear to my heart. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the seas? And how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died?
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Well, there you are. That is Mirador's comment on war generally. We are not warmongers. We are not supportive of violence, but we accept the realism that Russia has invaded Ukraine and that this is dragging in more and more people who more and more countries who will take sides, not least of which is their economy is under threat. Because one of the very bravely countries said, oh, we'll impose sanctions, we won't buy Russian gas and so on. So Putin has said, oh, well, don't then. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to off sales to many countries. And then, of course, there are howls of outrage. How can he do this? If you're at war, it's total war. And that's a silly nonsense to ask how you do that, how you could possibly do that. So there are a number of things that we have to take into account when you try a non-violent approach to war. And in fact, some critics are saying that if David Cameron and Theresa May had stood up to Vladimir Putin over a number of issues, is that we wouldn't be in this fix today. No, it's not fair, really, to put up our hands and say, boo. But it does beg the question of, is it right and proper that right now we should actually start to resist in a real way? Because we haven't. I mean, we haven't. But when it comes to the front line, it has been Ukrainians who have done the fighting. And bravely they have done it. But the civilians have really suffered very badly, very badly. So where do we cross the line and defy the threats of Vladimir Putin? And you have heard on this television station differing views about this, about whether we should or we shouldn't, and the explanations for it. So it is a bit jumpy, I'm afraid, our picture, and we have from time to time it's okay, and from time to time it is not okay. So we, as I said earlier, we are trying very hard to put this right so that you don't have to live with this sort of inconvenience. But if you'll bear with us, and if you'll give a little modicum of forgiveness, because this is an experiment, and we're finding out what we need to fix and what we don't need to fix. And that's one of the things we need to fix. And we are doing something about it, trying very hard. Right. Before we go back to the newspapers and behind the headlines, what else things have we got that now yeah, here is a program that Stuart Dolby, our energy expert, did towards the end of last year. Well, no, sorry, earlier in this year when COVID first was eased, and it's one of those nice little vignettes showing something that is excellent here in Lewis, and that you can go and see. Aha. Right. Well, we can't show that because we haven't converted it. You may well you may well say, why haven't you converted it? Because we didn't know that it needs to be converted to appear on Mirador television. So I do apologize for that. But we could actually see if there are other things which we could play. Let's try this. And this is just a little reminder of the energy crisis, and that we at Mirador are ahead of the game when it comes to predicting what will likely happen in the energy sector and what the government will do in reaction to the crisis. So join Stuart Dolby in Energy Matters on Mirador Television. Right. Okay. It's 10:30 in the morning. 10:30 in the White Hart Hotel, a very historic hotel, right in the heart of Lewes, and right in the center of things, and has been for 500 years. It's an old coaching inn. When you look at the rafters there behind me, those are originals. There's nothing phony about this. Nothing, let's make it look old. It is old. And that actually, in some ways, provides some problems for the upkeep and for the maintenance and for the efficient running of this old hotel. But there we go. They're there. And I think that while this hour is a potpourri, we don't care what we talk about as long as it's stuff that's pertinent to you, the viewer. So let's look at the newspaper headlines, shall we? And the one that I just showed you, a Tory MP, is the porn shame. Says the BBC headline in reviewing what the papers are saying, and that probably shows the morality of newspapers or the media, for that matter, which will, on the one hand, show very explicit stuff and then condemn the people that read it. But how do you read it, or how do you watch it if it's not provided by somebody? And porn is right across the media spectrum. You can get it wherever you want. But in this particular case, there's some poor MP, and of course he had to be a Conservative, because we're having a real go at the Conservatives. He was it's a couple of ladies. He must have been very indiscreet and delicate, and he managed to let his phone be seen by some colleagues nearby. And they noticed that he was looking at naughty pictures. Naughty pictures. And so they got all on their high horse and reported him for anti-feminism and all sorts of things. Not that he was watching porn movies as such. There are always reasons that, we are very magnanimous. We understand what naughty stuff is about. But we also have to be very careful. Very careful about why people do things, because quite often the reasons given aren't the reasons that are valid or hold up to investigation. What was I talking about? Oh, yes, the ancient nature of the White Hart Hotel. And the White Hart is famous because it is considered to be the cradle of American independence. That Tom Paine, a rebellious customs officer at the time, who thought that too much power resided in the hands of the few, of the elite, and don't we still have that theme on and in media nowadays? But he felt that the elite had got too much power, and he preached against it, and wrote books to try and alter it, and met princes and kings in his fight to alter it. And that all took place in this hotel. Look at the roof. Look at the roof. And you can see those rafters have seen some pretty ringing stuff. Pretty ringing stuff. And there's lots more that's happened to the White Hart Hotel, one would expect. But that the advent of Tom Paine and the club called the Headstrong Club, which allowed people to give vent to some radical ideas, all took place here. And if you like, this is a return to form, because what Mirador is all about is giving people the platform to make their point, to speak to camera, to debate with ourselves or with anybody else who wants to debate. And indeed, we had Andrew Sloan on this morning already, who has a very definite points of view, and he was able to get those across. Right. Well, we'll forget porn at the moment. The Mirror, the Mirror, the Daily Mirror, is Tories porn shame in the Commons. Is what's shameful about it? People watch pornography, tons and tons and tons of them, and why are they forced into sort of hiding it as this is very naughty stuff? Like anybody, I actually tap in, and yes, I understand that there are websites which really provide obscene stuff. That's different to naughty stuff. And naughty stuff is there for everybody, and it looks as if a lot of people take advantage of it. So the headline is this naughty Tory MP. To me, is not worthy of a headline. The Daily Express, it's the same one. Tory MP caught watching porn in the Commons. This poor man has actually stirred up a hornet's nest, because he's now going to be accused of anti-feminism and all the rest of the isms, where in fact it's just the morally outrageous people who don't like porn anywhere, who can thump their drum and sort of say how naughty he was. Now, the Times, it takes a different view, because it says Liz Truss has said this war could go on and on and on. She also has highlighted the fact that Vladimir Putin is a toughie. It doesn't matter whether he's suffering reverses in the Ukraine. He will still keep on with his cyber attacks, with his different viewpoints, approaches. He will keep on. And what his hope is, that ultimately that the West will give way because we are losing their terrific lifestyle. And I have to say that I would fear the same things. The Financial Times it goes back to the fact that Russia has now told Poland and Croatia, I think it is, and yes, it is. It's Poland and Bulgaria. I take it back. Poland and Bulgaria. Although I must confess is that my knowledge here leaves me a bit puzzled, because some of the great gas fields are in Bulgaria's neighbor, Romania. During the war, the Nazi war machine tried very hard to take over Romania so that it could have all the fuel depots to support Blitzkrieg. An army does not move on its stomach; it moves on its special supply and its supply lines. That was the part of the world that supplied the Nazi front. It looks as if Vladimir is saying, yeah, well, we take a leaf out of that book, and if we actually stop supplies of gas and raw materials, is we will start to wear down those soft people in the West. Is he right? Not sure. I'm not sure at all that the assessment of what we're all about in the West, which we won't, self-assessment is rubbish anyway. You only really start to look at what you think that you want to be. But our resilience to put up with ever-increasing prices, so that certainly the luxuries are going, and then some of the basic necessities, we have to worry about it. Here we go. Well, yeah, let's just show.
Well done, the energy companies. They're full of bright ideas to help their customers. Now they've made power so expensive that for an average house such as this, you can't afford to heat it. So you don't need appliances such as this. But that means you also don't need a fridge, because you can keep your groceries cool and fresh without it. The house is cold enough. Well done, chaps.
There we go. It's our little comment about the energy companies, and it is now. I think it's a windfall tax that the Chancellor of the Exchequer has said we need to put in place a windfall tax. All the profits that the energy companies made during the good times, and that if companies, those big companies, with all the profits that they made, don't start to reinvest, start putting in stuff to try and get us a cheaper product, is that they're going to be taxed. And indeed, I can see the Chancellery panting, lusting after that sort of money, because it has spent an awful lot on COVID and lockdown and supporting businesses, which even now are finding it difficult to get cracking again, and in some instances don't want to get cracking again. They've got too used to supposedly making a paper profit without actually doing any work. And even the civil service are being urged to go back to work, and work, not go back to work as much, work from the office, which has a number of benefits. And essentially, even the unions are saying, no, tell the government to stuff off. That's not going to see the light of day. 10:44. 10:44. And I am very sorry that we aren't able to show you one of the programs that we wanted to make or wanted to show you. So breaking up the morning. Yeah, there are a number of things that we let's take a look at this one. There we are. There.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
Lovely, Sally. How are you,
Yes,
darling?
I'm all right, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Say hello to the
Cafe
world.
Nero.
Sorry?
Cafe Nero coffee.
Well, one of our guests brought it in.
Oh,
Yes, I've kept it well off the screen.
because you know we pay. This is what we have to sell here.
Sally is the part owner of, or joint owner of this hotel, and they really are lovely people in this hotel. They are lovely, lovely people. And when I come in first thing in the morning, both Shannon and Jane, who are normally here, are bright and breezy and friendly, a lovely smile. And they're both gorgeous, and it is a pleasure coming in the morning. And as the day wears on, so the staff are pretty good, and they make sure that this is a decent sort of a decent sort of hotel. What was I going to? Oh, yes, we just played that, didn't we? And I think also one of the things that I want to make sure that we remember is that the key event, which is only now literally 1 month away, that we don't allow all the naughty things that are happening blind us to the Jubilee, because our head of state, forget whether you're a royalty supporter or not, our head of state has been in situ for 75 years. And for those people that say, oh, well, should be changed every 4 years, it's bollocks to that. What we've got is a head of state who is knowledgeable, who is wise, who is calming influence, and who prevents us from being overtaken, as so many other countries have, with those things that are a danger, a clear and present danger to us not being a democracy. And don't think it can't happen. Happen in too many places where they said it couldn't happen. All right. Yes, it's the Jubilee. And there is an awful lot of water that has passed under the bridge. But you know, until this year, generally speaking, there has been peace in Europe. For well over 75 years, there's been peace in Europe. But for the reign of this monarch, there has been a lack of hostilities. And what a wonderful tribute to the leadership that is the case. Indeed, that is the case. Now, going back to the papers, because the Eye is reporting on a case that the High Court is hearing a case brought by the relatives of two people who died in nursing homes because of COVID. And that they're saying is that the government didn't show appropriate lack of or duty of care. So it'll be interesting to see what the court rules. The government, of course, is defending the case very robustly and saying, no, we did everything we could, and we were well ahead of the pack. There we are indeed. And so it should be. And so it should be. But the accusers, if you like, is the complainants, are saying that they kept on missing all the signs that the vulnerable, the elderly in care homes, were dying at a great rate of knots, and that they should have picked up on that as they became aware of this new pandemic. Right, okay, we've mentioned that the Daily Mail is a police review over Starmer's lockdown drinks. I'm getting thoroughly bored with this, and yet Andrew Sloan, who was with me a little earlier, has pointed out, and he's got a different point of view to me, because what I'm saying is a plague on all their houses. Who cares? Who cares about ice cake? And who cares about pints of beer during lockdown? But the answer is that an awful lot of people do, and they see the principle. I am being a bit more practical. What I say is the enemy is at the gates. We've got a war to contend with. We've got inflation to contend with. We've got immigration to contend with. We've got disease to contend with. We've got 1,000 different things that need attention from government, and that to say, oh yes, he did, oh no, he didn't, is a waste of resources. So the police reviewing Starmer's drinks or Boris's ice cake, to me, is a sheer waste of time and effort. But the Sun, it goes on the heavyweight boxer Tyson Fury, sort of is he or isn't he going to retire? I'm not absolutely sure that that's front page stuff, but then again, is the Sun can decide what its view is on the news and how it interprets it, and that's what it believes. Whereas the Daily Star says wipeout, and it points out that we are back to likely if we get a resurgence of COVID, that we're going to lose all sorts of toilet rolls, because that's the first thing that anybody aims for. So its headline is wipeout. But it also points out that, in fact, we do consume, if consume is the right word, or use 123 toilet rolls a year each, everybody in the country. And that let's see, 33,000 trees were cut down each day to make them. Now, immediately, both Andrew and Stuart Dolby have said, yeah, but there's no mention there of the fact that we actually are planting trees at a greater rate of knots than we're cutting them down. Even so, planting trees is great, okay, rejuvenation, but you can't cut down too many mature trees. We need mature trees. The shoots and the plantings, which you see all over the country, do not produce shade in summer or cover in winter, just like that. It takes several years of building. Hey, 10:56. We have been with you for well, we were quite late coming on because we had to make sure that our system was going to be compatible with what's happening. Oh, I know. Let's just see. Right. So what we are becoming an expert organization in energy. Stuart Dolby, who understands sustainable energy extremely well, and who understands the drivers for gas prices or energy prices, he comes on a couple of times a week to keep you up to date. And somehow we seem to lose track of things very easily when they move out of the headlines. And it should not be that way. An issue on a Monday, unless we are very lucky and it's resolved by Tuesday, stays an issue until Friday. And we should be talking about those issues. And we do. So yesterday, Stuart was 2 or 3 times on giving an update on what's going on. And actually pointing out that the government was well, asleep at the switch is perhaps too strong. But its policies, it didn't think through. It only thought that there was always going to be a plentiful supply. And it made a lot of little companies in the privatization stakes and the rules who are making money hand over fist and satisfying shareholders to the nth degree. Now, in an open market society, shareholders are important people. If you want to get money out of them to support business, you've got to give them a decent return. But by the same token, in times of stress and crisis, you also have got to legislate carefully to make sure shareholder isn't being fed by the underfed baby. So they're putting it too dramatically? I don't think so. No, not a bit. It's the sort of thing that we need to keep an eye on. And well, some of it. Some of it is forgotten over a period of time. And then we forget the other issues that seem to be prevalent. For instance, should we really be going down to Saudi Arabia and dealing with I think it's King Fahd, is it not? Although because they got a new one a couple of years ago, the name has slipped out of the headlines. But should we be dealing with a regime that we don't agree with in the main? Should we be doing that? This is a matter of conscience, but also of practical diplomacy. If we don't get our energy, if our gas suppliers from friends, how do we possibly get them from enemies? It may be something that you have a view on, and why not? Why not? 11 minutes past 1. Right, I was looking for a program there, and I didn't actually see it. But there we go. That's what I was looking for. Well, let's look at Mirror Ahead. This was done a little while ago, but it gives you some idea of what we're all about, and it saves me from going rabbit, 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 rabbit. Here we go. And that's broadly saying better than I can say in words what to expect over this coming year. We are broadcasting from the White Hart. The White Hart is the main hotel in the center of Lewes. It is very, very ancient. It is a 17th century hotel, which means that it was around in the 1600s. And a lot has happened here, including the Russian foreign minister. The Russian foreign minister who played cricket, repeatedly played cricket in one of the corridors. because he happened to be here and he met his English counterpart to sort out more recognition of Russia. That was in the 1930s. And that was when the communism, if you like, or the totalitarian state was at its height. And the Russians were afraid that nobody really understood what they were about. So it's not just the energy prices or the Russian Revolution or whatever that has taken place here. But the American Revolution most certainly did. And the things that in many ways have passed us by. This hotel is where Tom Paine wrote The Rights of Man. Quite often, you can say The Rights of Man, you can say Tom Paine in this country, and you get a blank stare. We don't teach him anymore. But he was apparently not a very likable man. That he enjoyed the grape, as they say, but he was a mind that, under no circumstances, would accept totalitarian way of dealing. He would not, and it was reflected in the fact that he went off to the colonies, where, according to historian Bill Bryson, and I keep on giving that accolade, that credit, if you like, because it is Bill Bryson that says it, and no other historian does. He named the United States, but also when passing Westminster in the company of one of his American friends, Ben Franklin, waved his hand and said, "There should be a Trump chamber there, from which representatives of the common man should actually be heard. And that chamber should be called the House of Commons." Strike a bell? Well, it should. It should indeed. Now, I have there are our correspondents are keeping an eye open to see whether there are interesting things that we can insert into this program. It looks as if we're heading now into the home stretch without too many people wanting to insert. We had a really rollicking first hour with Andrew Sloan and his Grizzlies Barbershop. That's fantastic. It's the Grizzlies Barbershop. If you haven't tried it, try it. You're likely to be offered a coffee with, if you wish to have a Jack Daniels thrown in. You'll be made to feel that you're in almost a community center as you have your hair done. And Andrew will be doing a regular program pretty soon, as indeed will Fergus Woods with wine. And then we will start to invite Sarah Fitch-Hayes back because she was very successful in the old Mirador, if you like, with her painting program. And we want all these things. It's just a difference in venue. So we need to be very careful about how we handle things. We need to be sensitive to the things that you want. But mostly what we are is we've opened up. Yes, okay, you can say, well, not too many people there, are there? But actually, for our first week, we've had a good, 10 or 12 people drop by to join us in our in a consideration of what's going on in the world, what's going on in Lewis, for that matter. So it is the fact that we are open for business, as it were, open for your business if necessary, that you can come in off the street, you can sit with us, and you can make a contribution is different. It'll take a little time to build. We're not impatient. We're not in a hurry. We want to get the basics right. There's no sense inviting a team of footballers of 11 people plus reserves, etc., into a bar that is not capable of really holding much more than about 10 people. It's a very cozy little bar. In fact, I wish we could show you, and we will. So, generally speaking, this is a different type of television. It'll take some getting used to, from your point of view. And a little effort to overcome the shyness that a lot of people anticipate when it comes to appearing in front of the camera. Nothing to be afraid of. It's only blood and guts. Oh, dear. So at this hour of the morning, I have to say that I start to get a little tired because we've been at it since 6 o'clock. And it does wear down. We will have, there'll be co-presenters as we move along. You won't see me stretching myself as I am at the moment. So bear with us. And also, some of you will get not a far from perfect picture. And that is something else that we are looking at and making sure that we get right. So it's 11 minutes past 12. No, it's not. It's 12 minutes past 11. It's always very difficult to concentrate, but concentrate we are. There we go. Now let's look at once again. Let's look at one of the reasons for our existence. One of the things that's coming up this year. We sort of shot ourselves in the foot there. Okay, let's do another quick review of what the headlines or the front pages are showing in the papers this morning. And then I think it will be time to call it a day until tomorrow. It's a variety of things this morning. Some of the Metro, for instance, has concentrated on the fact that a senior MP has been caught, if you like. Somebody leaned over his shoulders and said, "What's that?" Looking at porn in the chamber. The fact that he's looking at porn should be nobody's business. What is the debatable point is, should he be doing it while he was at work? Because if he was in the chamber, he was at work. Well, it looks like work. They fall asleep all over the place. The Mirror, the Daily Mirror, carries on with that. Tories porn shame in Commons. So the Tory chief whip says that the behaviour is wholly unacceptable and pledging that action will be taken. But that's not what the complainants is. Not that they're looking at porn, but that it demeans women, etc., 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 and all those sort of things. And I can't get excited about that. I'm afraid I'm a Luddite when it comes to that. The Daily Express is a Tory MP caught watching porn in Commons. He follows the same theme. Is already engulfed by allegations of widespread sexism, misogyny, and harassment. That's what he's going to be charged with. Not looking at porn. What on earth are we thinking? What on earth are we thinking? So the Times, Liz Truss, it fears that the Ukraine war could carry on for years. And what she's calling is for more positive action from the Allies, if you want to call them allies in this particular instance. And that the issue is whether, in fact, it's sexist or so on, is not that he's looking at naughty things. Liz Truss thinks that the war could carry on for years, and basically what her thesis is, let's stand up to this monster. Financial Times is the gas price soars as Russia turns off the tap to Poland and Bulgaria. So that affects the supply in the rest of Europe and is going to push the economy pretty hard as it goes on. The Guardian is fear of energy price crisis as Russia cuts gas supply. And it raises the issue of, should we deal with the Saudis? Well, once again, needs must, I would have said. The Daily Telegraph, energy firms face the threat of a windfall tax. And this is always controversial. They make profits, and those profits are supposed to be plowed back into the companies. But in this particular case, because things were so good for so many years, since the privatization in about 2015 of gas and oil companies, energy companies, is they've made a lot of money, and that money be taxed rather than going back into the company. Very difficult one, isn't it? Very difficult indeed. Right. The Eye, 20 warnings missed to stop COVID slaughter in care homes. I took this up with Andrew, and he felt that the issue was much broader than just these instances where they are being brought they are being brought into court, or the government could be brought into court. The Mail, the police review over Starmer's lockdown drinks. I mean, I like to try to avoid this one because, to me, we shouldn't have been worrying about iced cakes and half bottles of champagne and open packets of crisps at a time when so many challenges for our leaders and our MPs. The Sun, Gospel Truth, I'm done. That's a reference to Tyson Fury, who is the world heavyweight champion. And he said, I've done it. I've got there. I'm going to hang up my boots. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people say, no, he won't. It's in his blood. And then the Daily Star, God bless the Star, it is highlighting with usual tongue-in-cheek the fact that, and its headline is "Wipeout," that there will be another run on toilet paper, but it is. But also, it says we are killing the planet by using products, paper products, and that we have 127,000 toilet rolls a year, and 33,000 trees are cut down each day to make these toilet rolls. It is ruining the planet. All right, some tough stuff, some not so tough stuff throughout the morning. Hopefully, your picture wasn't too bad. Hopefully, you will have seen the better side of us. Sort of a very laid-back morning after the whiz of the first hour, but then some mornings will be like this, and I hope that you'll join me and feel relaxed and have a chat, but don't let the crises the crises that we are facing be obscured by Christmas cake and a pint in constituency headquarters. That is my view, and that's our view. And it is now 24 minutes past 11 o'clock, and so we will say, Toodle Pip, thanks for being with us. And as they say, we will do better. We will strive to do better, but at least we've got it off the ground. We have got it off the ground. And with the help of some good friends, such as those at the White Hart Hotel, where each morning I am greeted by Shannon, the wonderful smile of Shannon, wonderful smile of Jane, and as the morning rolls on, so Cliff and Sally come in and carry on the bonhomie. It's a good fun hotel. Drop by, have a coffee, have a drink. I don't think you'll regret it. Toodles.